YouTube, I'm Rap, and this is Rap's Garage Shop, and hey, like and subscribe, I appreciate it. I'm slowly getting my 97 bad boy back together. So far I had the cam out, changed the cam bearing, got new lifters for it, redid the heads. I had John's from John's Cycle in Chester, Pennsylvania do the heads December last year. So you can tell how slow I've been at getting this done. Anyway, I got the pistons rings in, the cylinders are all honed, they're on. You can see in my last couple of videos, I went through the rocker boxes, checked everything. Did end up having to replace a rocker because the hardness came off of the end of the rocker where it hits the valve tip. I put the valves back in, had the seats triple angle valve job, put new seals on. I got new springs and new upper retainers. The next step in getting this motor together is getting the tappet blocks installed with the lifters. The first thing you want to do when you're doing this is make sure both of these mating surfaces are spotless. You also want to make sure that all the rest of these machine surfaces are clean. So I just take a rag and a little bit of brake clean and clean everything. Same with the tappet block. Want to make sure you don't leave any lint behind when you're cleaning this. These were previously cleaned, but it's a good idea just to make sure that you get them the rest of the way. Also, you want to make sure you get the rear and the front in the proper position. They'll only go one way, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Next, you want to get your two new tappet block gaskets and then make sure they're going on the right way, because this is where the oil comes up in there through this hole through the gasket. So that has to be lined up properly, like that. Same with this one. You have the oil feed here and then the hole here. I'm going to put the rear one on first. You can see that hole's here, so you know it has to go on this way. But first, before you put it in, you have to put the tappets in, because they go in from the bottom. As you saw in an earlier video, I put S&S lifter limiters into these lifters. So before I install them into the lifter block, I'm going to make sure to put a nice coating of assembly lube on them. And also you want to make sure you put a nice coat of assembly lube on the rollers and get it down into the bearings. So you just drop it there on each side like that. And then you just kind of take and spin it a little. These come pre-assembled with assembly lube, but even still I like to make sure I put a little extra on the wheels. And then here, just give it a little turn around here. Now on the shovel heads, it's real important to line this oil hole up. They have to face one another. But on the Evos, they don't have to. They have this cutout on the Evos, and that allows oil to go around them. I still face them in anyway, because it's just habit. Again, I give it a little spin like that. Line it up, and then just drop it all the way on. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Now to have a good coating on that, I'll give these wheels a little bit of a spin. Again, I take this oil hole and I face them towards each other. And again, you don't have to do that on the Evos, but old habits are hard to break. Give a little twist and then just push it up in there. Now you can see I have my gasket on here. To install these, you can kind of hold them there, and they don't want to fall out, but they will, and you don't want that. On this side it's easy. You stick your fingers in the hole for the front block and then you just lower it down on. You can see in there that they're both sitting on the cam lobes like they're supposed to be. The other thing that's important is to use these alignment dowels that are tapered. These are from Jim's, part number 33443-84. Then you install two of these in. What these do is allow you to align the gasket and the oiling holes and know that they're aligned properly. I just keep wiggling them until they won't go down anymore. You don't want to force these down because they'll crack the aluminum housing. This one back in here is hard to get your fingers on. I'll just use this wrench to do it. Again, I'm not pulling up on it. I'm just getting it down. And that's about it right there. And there's that one. Now you want to take and put 2 of your screws in, and then once you snug these up, you can take your alignment dowels out and then put the other 2 in, and then I'll torque them up. There's the second. Now I'm just going to snug them a little bit. Alright, now that I have them snug, I can take the 2 alignment dowels out. Now I'll put the other 2 in. Before I torque them, I'm going to put the other lifters in. Alright, now I have both these in the front block. So the way I hold them in is I get a folder clip and I take and cut, and it has a little bit of a sharp edge on here from the wire cutters. And I just take them and I insert them into each one of these tappets, and that allows me to hold them so that you can put this in without them falling out. Now I've seen people do it with magnets and they sell other tools, but this is a nice free little hack. Make sure your gasket's in place, and then just drop it in like that. Back to the tapered alignment pins, in with 2 of the Allen bolts. Now take the tapered pins out, back with the last 2 Allen bolts. Now to the factory manual hydraulic lifter guide bolts, 9 to 12 foot-pounds. Now I'll move on to the other one. Now to have them all torqued, I'll just go around one last time and check them all. Okay, next up will be to install the cylinder heads. Thanks for watching.